Give me 5 minutes of your time and I'll share something about life, God, and the Bible. James 5:10-11. Brothers and sisters, as an example of patience in the face of suffering, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. As you know, we count as blessed those who have persevered. You have heard of Job's perseverance and have seen what the Lord finally brought about. The Lord is full of compassion and mercy. James 5:10-11. James writes to encourage some readers who are going through suffering in their lives. He tells them to be patient as they endure the pain and suffering. As he does so, he uses the example of Job in the Old Testament. Job endured a lot of suffering in his life. He lost his possessions, he lost his children, he was afflicted with sores on his skin. The book of Job contains an account of how Job struggles to understand his situation. He is engaged in deep discussion with his friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. Why does God allow such things to happen in my life? Reading the book of Job is time-consuming and tedious. Job is engaged with his friends on the problem of evil. This is the main question. How can a loving God allow so much pain and suffering in our lives? Job 1-2 shows us that Job has had his share of pain and suffering. He is still experiencing it as he talks with his friends. If you read the book of Job, you will find that the arguments are repetitive and go all over the place. There is no straightforward explanation for the pain and suffering in this world. Yet, in the end, Job is convinced that God is still present there with him. Antonia lives in Bulgaria. She reads the Bible. She has read the book of Job many times and thought she knew it well. Here is her story. The book of Job presents a man who was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. Job 1 verse 1. This book from the Bible was especially meaningful for me during the time when I was diagnosed with cancer and required surgery. I didn't know if the surgery would be successful or if it was too late. Thus, it was important for me to keep peace in my heart, and the book of Job inspired me. Until my experience with cancer, I thought I knew the book of Job well. But now reading it was different. I was reading the same words, but they were telling me a new story about physical pain and spiritual victory. I identified with Job, who was attacked on many fronts. I decided to adopt his attitude. When the crisis threatened me, I read the Bible, and Job's example strengthened my spirit and helped me to overcome the pain and to survive. This experience happened many years ago. The scars from the physical ordeal have disappeared. However, even today, Job's example of refusing to give up on his relationship with God continues to help me in difficult situations. Antonia tells us that Job is an example to her. Job refused to give up on his relationship with God despite the pain and suffering in his life. Sometimes when bad things happen in our lives, we become foggy and tend to forget about God. Job is still engaged in his relationship with his God as he goes through the pain and suffering in his life. This is even so when his friends tempt him to give up on God. Therefore, don't give up on God. Hang in there. God is there with you. Remember the patience of Job. Amen.